We're wrapping up June, entering July 2025, and what a time it is to be alive. So let's talk about it. What the heck is going on? And first and foremostly, to be an astrologer, I cannot possibly explain the frustration, the mental challenge to be so passionate about, to me, the most useful and real thing in existence, to the rest of the world, total horseshit, extremely simple, easy to use, and hardly anybody does it. To the point where even so many hundreds of people calling themselves astrologers don't get educated. You don't have to get educated because there's no standard, because nobody knows what real astrology is. It's a bad situation. I don't think I'd be able to do any of this if I were just starting now. I'm lucky I started when I did. And I have to start by putting out a request for support. Some of you may have noticed some health deterioration going on in recent years. That's due to a number of things. First and foremostly, I have left the cult of the New Age movement. And whenever you leave a cult, the flying monkeys come after you to attempt to sabotage your life. And believe it or not, there have been souls attempting to sabotage my life because I don't speak pro-cult, New Age garbage, such as we're all ascending. And if you pretend yourself to be a wizard, you certainly are one. I want to use astrology to get us grounded. I want to use astrology to validate who we are as individuals. I want to bridge astrology with depth psychology. That's where things are going for me. Now, the other request is my health is deteriorating due to a condition of severe irritable bowel syndrome that began several years ago. I've tried everything. Don't give me the health recommendations. I haven't brought it up for that reason. You get bombarded. I have tried everything. It's been years, and I got completely screwed. So there is a GoFundMe that I have started to support me financially, where I'm getting screwed out of nearly $10,000 via a very suspicious move on the part of huge insurance companies. Now, enough of the drama. Let's talk about the drama that is our real life, our real experience in some very powerful times. It's a potent new moon. First and foremostly, we're meeting the day before Mercury squares Chiron. Maybe some difficult conversations, maybe how I began this video, some of the real talk that we got to have in order to clear the bullshit out, in order to get towards honesty. And something we're going to very much be highlighting as a theme today is integrity. What is integrity? What does integrity mean? How are we going to define this word? Because we live in a world where integrity is becoming a meaningless thing. It is a world which is losing virtue, where virtue is no longer prioritized. And this is again why I've even had cults target me, because I'm pointing out the reality of the world that we live in is actually very dark. It's very complex. And we've got to be willing to address the dark side of life and be willing to talk sometimes negatively. Otherwise, we're totally screwed. The sociopaths use toxic positivity to lure idiots into becoming sexually abused. And I've witnessed it so many times in the New Age movement. I'm literally sick almost every day, but it's become a huge problem because I have to somehow maintain my passion for astrology, which comes straight from God and nature and is not a man-made system, and separate it from the cult of the New Age, which is not oriented towards healing. It's oriented towards distraction, leading people away from themselves, away from healing, and is therefore actually harmful. So when I point out the harmful parts of the New Age movement, the flying monkeys actually come after me and attempt to sabotage my life. And sometimes they're more or less successful at it. I cannot believe there are people out there targeting me when we can see the evil going on out there in the world. You're going to make me the bad guy? Absolutely insane. But this is the world we live in. I'm seeing some of the best people get targeted and some of the shittiest people get away with highway robbery. It is an insane world. Now, some uncomfortable last few days, uncomfortable weekend. We've got Mars now in Virgo, was in Leo for the longest time. We had a long-ass Mars in Cancer, the end of 2024, basically all the way through April of 2025, where this Mars retrograde took place. So we had Mars in Leo from April to June 17th. Now we've got Mars in Virgo the next several months, which is much more of a rectification time. It's about purging out the interference, the distraction, the deception, the bullshit. Mars in Virgo may need to explore what it isn't sure is morally right or wrong, so to determine the correct course of action. Now that Mars formed quincunx to Saturn on the 19th, Neptune in a few days on the 20th, a few days ago on the 20th, and tomorrow Pluto on the 24th. There is a feeling here that something's not right. There is an itchiness that something really deep is not right. Something really deep is off and missing. And that's what I'm going to tell you about, even though this isn't the pop astrology that gets me followers. Talking about the real stuff makes me lose followers. Now today, Sun squares Neptune. Yesterday, Sun squares Saturn. The two planets are joined together and are now stationing to a retrograde. At the front of July, Neptune will station at 2 degrees Aries, July 5th. Saturn will station retrograde 1 degree Aries, July 13th. Now this is the very deep, very powerful, overwhelming astrology. It's going all through this year, but it's going to be highlighted at this particular time while these planets slow down and form so many aspects to so many other planets. This is the meltdown. This is the reset. And the level of reset and the level of reboot is like going all the way back to the beginning. It may shock us how much we're about to start from scratch, and in a necessary way, in a liberating way, in a we were 90% distracted type of way, and time to cut that crap like never before. This is the time to be birthing warriors, but the warrior birthing initiations do not always come easily served on a silver platter. Now, this same signature, Saturn, Neptune, and Aries, is our global war signature. And does the world know what's going on with this type of astrology? No, it's going to be very confusing. It's probably likely going to be a bit scary because we don't know what sides are what. We don't know who the good guys and the bad guys are. And that's the deeper reality. That's the reality I'm talking about here, even using my personal example of astrology and the New Age movement. People think it all goes the same, and it's not the same at all. So how do we discern what is the right direction and what is fundamentally being reset is our overall direction? This is the great dissolving of direction all the way back to the source code. We could be realizing your whole job, Saturn, was a deception, Neptune. Is it really what you thought it was? Was the, motto, or, how companies have these intentions, is it true? Are we being honest? Are we setting out and doing what our mission statement is? Or is it 100% bullshit and we're just lying to ourselves? Because this would be the type of astrology where we suddenly realize, is this really the kind of job we wanted to do? Or is this kind of a deception? Now, this new moon, it's potent. It's joined with Jupiter just a degree away, who has just entered Cancer on the planetary north node of Jupiter. So this new moon can be sowing the seed for what this whole world needs, the most missing and needed medicine. And I think it's going to therefore be a kind of challenging next month because of how starved our world is of this medicine. So the first quarter square between Jupiter to Saturn and to Neptune as they station to retrograde means something new needs to get pushed out even while there's this total dissolving that's happening simultaneously. Now, this is, again, the very distilled astrology. I hope in some way, shape, or form makes sense to you, and you have some aversion of what is totally being dissolved, which may be a complete mystery and very challenging at this time, and simultaneously, there's some push and some pressure to go in a different new direction. And what this new and different direction is really about is having support. That's why I began this video putting out a very real call for support. And I don't like doing GoFundMes. I am not an influencer who just puts these things out when I need a new laptop. This is a serious situation, and I'm assuming many of us are finding ourselves in similarly serious situations. That's the whole reason I created the Rasa Leela Healing Community. But creating that community and running it by myself, with just a few other supporters, we need more hands on deck. And I'm really hoping that that can be some of what is new, that we're birthing and we're pushing forward with this first quarter square to Jupiter in Cancer, which is let's bring in a little thing called integrity. Integrity. What does integrity mean? Integrity means that you are living and acting in your truth. You're living and acting in your truth. You're certainly not saying a whole bunch of things and then never doing it. That's someone who has no integrity at all. Okay? And I'm going to say what's really important for all souls with integrity to understand is that the zodiac sign of Cancer is the most missing and needed medicine on the planet at this time, which is what? Emotional intelligence, safety, safe space. You know that thing that a lot of people like to make fun of? Oh, safe space, you snowflakes. Yeah, we need that desperately. Family, real family, not the cult of the family you may have been born into, not the cult of the family that prefers one sibling over the next, and it's all about your job to make your parents proud. I'm talking about a space where you feel safe to show up and be seen for who you are. See, that's what makes me a passionate astrologer. I love to validate individuals for who they are. Do any of these places ask you how you're feeling? Do any of your friends ask you how you're feeling. Do your friends know who you are? Does anybody care to know about your history? Has anyone asked you about your childhood? You know what integrity can look like? It can look like anger. You know what integrity can look like? It can look like fury. And you know what the cult likes to use as a tactic to keep people absolutely owned and enslaved? Is they will gaslight the person who's angry as being triggered and therefore less spiritually evolved and therefore not to be taken seriously. These are cult brainwashing dynamics. The New Age is so full of cult dynamics when this should be used to validate the soul on an individual basis that otherwise could not be validated to the depth or the accuracy. This new moon says we need to bring in a support space that does not exist in our world because people don't even care to check in with one another. People don't know their stories. People don't care. And you know what I'm going to let you know is the most important thing we could therefore do, breathe, build, exude in any way, shape, or form. Just any tiny part of that. This is very simple stuff. To hold space is to do what? It's just to listen to someone's story. I went my entire life not being able to share my story because of how fucked up this world is. That's what made me the astrologer who gets to validate everybody else's, by the way. God works these mystical types of curses equals blessings and vice versa. But this should be about validation. This should be about getting confident in what our contribution back to the collective is. And there's something we need to evaporate. There's something we need to dissolve. There are old interferences that it could be in a cult-like way. It could be in a gender bias type of way. It's just in whatever way we've been conditioned to be oppressed, to be limited to something different than who we actually are. That has to break down. And where that's going to start to break down is through us starting to talk about our story and just to start to share what's going on. I'm inviting all of you. The best thing you could do in the world at this time is just form a local group that might meet once a month and we just check in on one another. Yeah, it could be a grief circle. We're starved of that. Yeah, it could be a provisionary, providing food and local support. Our world's starved of that. What's going on in the world is going to drive a need for these things. It's going to birth itself this whole next month going into the majority of July. But with this new moon beginning with the quincunx to Pluto, there is a sense of unease almost the entire time. Like this isn't quite it. And it's not quite complete. And we may be sowing seeds, but it's almost like we're more so just like crushing it to a dust and then sweeping the dust out. First, everything needs to be pulverized to a dust until there's literally nothing left, so we can no longer have these old interferences and distractions that used to be coming from every single angle. Sweep all that shit out into the road. That's an old Appalachian witch practice. You don't just sweep your house, you sweep it all the way out into the middle of the road. That's what we're talking about with this particular new moon in Cancer. And I think if you can sweep your house out so well, you can create a home that may be the home for many other people. It may be the family for people who haven't had family. It may be the support circle for people who have been looking for support. So what it is that we've been lacking, let that lead us into what we can create. There is too much missing from our world at this time to possibly pretend that us continuing our vacation style, white privilege lifestyle is anything spiritual or helpful at all. It's not spiritual. And furthermore, our species and world is in great danger at this time. It's becoming more and more real. It's becoming more and more serious. And the pace is only about to get faster and faster and faster. When I'm delivering this message to you is when it's about to begin picking up pace. Venus joins Uranus, the last degree of Taurus, on July 4th. That's interesting. There can be a total revolution to relationship, money, exchange, not just who but how. This can be a rug ripped out from under our feet. All of a sudden, a fly comes out of our wallet, or a check falls out of the sky. It's that type of Venus-Uranus conjoinment. Regardless, it's probably not what we expected it was going to be. This Venus-Uranus conjoinment is immediately followed by their transit into the sign of Gemini. Venus from July 4th through July 30th. We can expect things to pick up pace here. So again, clear out the space, create the safe space. Now let's see where the network can begin to expand. We can start to meet new people, get new projects spinning, and have multiple projects spinning. Wear multiple hats, multiple masks for different people in different places, so to satiate the diversity of all your own different interests. That's what we're talking about going into July. So yeah, there's some serious reset that can be a bit uncomfortable, but what can be coming next is going to be really, really quickly filling this space with something really new and really different. It may be so new and so different, we have no frickin' clue what it is. Even when it sits down next to us, it may take some time for us to, oh, you're the future. Had no idea you were going to look like that. So Uranus, the great pioneering planet entering the sign of Gemini, get ready for one of the most fast-paced, pioneering, ingenuitive, technologically taking off decade of our life, as it is from July 7th, 2025 through 2032, that Uranus will be in the sign of Gemini. Uranus enters Gemini and will immediately form trine to Pluto. This is when we're going to start to see the new world start to take form. Now, this grand reset reflected in Saturn and Neptune, it's not over till the start of 2026. But we're going to start to see the foreshadowing of a world we never could have dreamt could be possible, starting to, like lights through the veil, starting to pierce through. That's what we're talking about beginning as soon as July. And my God, is it going to be a hot, fast-paced, intense summertime. Uranus through Gemini is also going to completely revolutionize how we communicate, how we do any and all information exchange, as well as a total, collective, global reinvention of educational institutions. You may have noticed in certain places they have gone out of date. And now we've got AI. Now the technology is evolving exponentially and we can't even keep up with our own tech. There's going to be a massive revolution in regards to how we give and receive information, how we learn, how we train ourselves, and how we therefore get an education. You know what I hope? This is my prayer to leave us off with today. My hope is that we can get a better education in how to human. Because we can send men to Mars, and that's nice. But can we take care of one another on this planet? Do we even know how to check in on someone when they're suffering? Or are we so brainwashed by this patriarchal cult that's infected almost all religions cross-culturally, to even the point where Christian nationalists are just the absolute inversion of what a Christian is supposed to be? We're going to kick the guy when they're down instead of offering any support to people when they're struggling. That's the world we live in. And if we have any integrity whatsoever, I think we should be pretty pissed off by a lot of what we see out there. Use that anger. Aries ain't about believing if you're angry, you're less evolved. That is cult bullshit to keep you enslaved, period. Period. Anger's not wrong. That's cult bullshit to keep people enslaved, period. Let your passion set your soul on fire to do the work only you can do. If others ain't doing it, it may be the work only you can do. So my brother, my sister, I thank you for being yourself, for doing your thing, and for settling for nothing less. If you'd like to hear from me again before the end of the month, our next Q&A takes place Saturday, June 28th, starting at 11 Eastern Time, though you're welcome to join at any point in the first several hours that we begin. And again, thank you for your support, checking out my GoFundMe. Wishing you the very best, as always. Do take care.